Right, so that's no question. How about Shah,
Thus, give honors to the elders and the apostles that rule well, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth with sincerity. This is news from a year ago, and then I got another clip on what's going on now today with this whole sleeper cell situation. The U.S. is what they call, hold on, give me a second. Well, the U.S. is trying to put that in people's minds to that justify them attacking Iran and helping Israel to fight Iran. You know, to demonize the Iranians. You know, because they don't want them to get a nuclear missile. The ultimate goal is to bring in the new world order, and who is resistant of that? The Iranians. You know, and the term is called fear mongering. Fear mongering, the action of deliberately arousing public fear or alarm about a particular issue. These sleeper cells that they said, and he finna say it, but he's saying that they in various countries, including the U.S. And the U.S. can use these so-called sleeper cells, which they the ones who really are in control of all the terrorist organizations in the world. They train all the terrorists. Um, they invented the terrorists, so to speak. You know, so at any given time, they can use these terrorists like how they did with 9/11, to bring about the new world order, a new world change, lock country cities down, push the RFID chip, you know, and that's what the world is headed to, man. They might use the terrorist attack. The money system definitely gonna collapse, you know. So it's various different things that they can do to help them bring in a new world order, which they're not gonna get the full cap on it, but they're gonna put it in motion for sure. People gonna take the RFID microchip, the MOTB. A lot of people gonna be killed. A lot of people gonna be in concentration camps. A lot of people gonna be beheaded. You know, uh, the prophets are gonna be persecuted. You know, but that's biblical prophecy. Two, the war gonna come, man. So they're not gonna fully get everything into plan. But this is a year ago. I'm gonna play this because now what's going on is Israel uh, going back and forth now on attacking each other. Israel just shot missiles at the Iranian nuclear facilities and killed certain scientists and commanders. You know, strategic attack. Iran response was 100 drones. You know, and it's still escalating. Still waiting on the next couple things to see what's going to happen next. You know, the point of this lesson is this whole sleeper cell situation because they using this. They can use this to push the agenda over here in America, have another terrorist attack or something, you know. But all right.
Colonel Kemp, I want to ask you, though, about what I believe is the real root of this issue here, which is Iran. And it seems to me that the Biden administration, in particular, is playing a very two-faced game here, where they're acting still supportive of Israel, still supplying arms to Israel, although that support is being progressively withdrawn, while at the same time doing absolutely nothing about stopping Iran supplying arms to Hezbollah, giving aid to Hamas, and allowing it to become the regional hegemon, potentially a nuclear armed one. How is the Biden administration getting away with this double game?
Well, this is the problem. Biden's administration is fixed on the idea still, even after what happened on the 7th of October by one of Iran's major proxies, the Hamas and Islamic Jihad, of course, in Gaza, still fixed on the idea of appeasing.
Right. So Iran's proxies, which were locked in and still locked in a proxy war with Israel. A proxy war is a conflict where two major powers do not directly fight each other, but instead support opposing sides in a conflict, usually a civil war or a regional conflict. These supporting powers provide military aid, funding, other resources to their respective proxies, which are often smaller states or factions within a country. That's the whole Hezbollah Hamas situation. Iran backs them with these military might, aid, etc. It says key characteristics of proxy wars: indirect engagement. Major powers avoid direct military confrontation with each other, often to avoid the risk of escalation to a larger conflict, especially in the nuclear age. Supporting proxies. Major powers back opposing sides in a conflict, usually a civil war or a regional conflict. Use of surrogate forces. The fighting is done by the proxy forces, smaller states or factions supported by major powers. Okay. Diverse support. Proxy support can include military aid, funding, training, intelligence sharing, and political backing. Examples of proxy wars. Cold War era. The Cold War saw numerous proxy wars, such as the Korean War and the Vietnam War, where the United States and the Soviet Union supported opposing sides. 21st century. Proxy wars continue into the 21st century, with examples including the Yemen Civil War, where Iran supports the Houthi rebels and Saudi Arabia supports the Yemeni government. See, that's another one. The Russian invasion of Ukraine is also considered a proxy war with the United States, and its NATO allies supporting Ukraine, and China and Iran supporting Russia. Right? See, and this is the battle of Armageddon. Uh, it says a proxy war is defined a war fought between the. All right, and this is the battle of Armageddon taking place, and it's finna heat up. It's going into its next phase.
Iran, of trying to normalize relationships in the region, of trying to get a renewed nuclear deal through. Even now, they're still thinking about this. And the consequences, of course, are that Iran will become more aggressive, not only towards Israel, but to the West as well. In Australia, in Britain, in other European countries, in the US, Iran has sleeper cells, IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and Hezbollah sleeper cells, which are ready to attack us. And this sort of Revolutionary Guard Corps and Hezbollah sleeper cells, which are ready to attack us. Israel, but to the West as well. In Australia, nuclear deal through. Even now, they're still thinking about this. And the consequences, of course, are that Iran will become more aggressive, not only towards Israel, but to the West as well. In Australia, in Britain, in other European countries, in the US, Iran has sleeper cells, IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and Hezbollah sleeper cells, which are ready to attack us. Right, and this is part of Esau's witchcraft to demonize Iran so that they can finish off their agenda over there and start an agenda over here. Iran is merely just defending itself against Western democracy and them trying to bring in that new world order. But this is sleeper cells. Sleeper cell AI overview. A sleeper cell is a dormant unit within a clandestine organization, typically made up of individuals who live seemingly normal lives within a target community, waiting for a signal to become active and carry out specific missions. These individuals, also called sleeper agents, may remain inactive for extended periods, sometimes years, blending into the community while maintaining their ties to the organization. They are activated upon receiving a prearranged signal, either directly or indirectly, to perform acts of espionage, sabotage, and terrorism. Right?
Okay. Okay, yeah. It says, here's a more detailed breakdown. Dormancy. Sleeper cells are characterized by the ability to remain hidden and inactive, often for many years, while living seemingly normalized within a targeted community or target community. Infiltration. They infiltrate the target community, blending in and establishing relationships with it, often without raising suspicion. Activation signal. They are activated upon receiving a specific signal, which could be a message, a symbol, or an event indicating it's time to become active. Like 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 what's going on now. With the whole Israel attacking Iran's nuclear facility and killing certain generals. They can the sleeper cells over here can be activated. You know, but that ain't the case. That the U.S. is the one who control terrorist groups and that nature. But that can be what was going on with Israel. You know, them attacking can activate sleeper cells within the U.S. Um, to do certain terrorist acts for the U.S. To help further the agenda. But it says purpose. Sleeper cells are often used for espionage, sabotage, or terrorism, depending on the goals of the organizations they belong to. It says a popular example is the Detroit sleeper cell, which was believed to be plotting an attack on Disneyland, right? And that was recent. But yeah.
This sort of encourages that country in its actions. And I mentioned Hezbollah and Hassan Nasrallah up in the north. They're waiting to attack Israel. They're waiting for the word from Tehran to do it. And by emboldening Iran, that's much more likely to happen. The best way of deterring Iran and deterring Hezbollah is for the world, particularly the US, to give absolute support to Israel to destroy Hamas. And that will send a very, very salutary lesson to both Iran, Hezbollah, and the other proxies in the region.
Rita.
I want to get your response to something our former Foreign Minister Bob Carr said about this tragedy with the aid workers. And I'll just read you what he posted. He said, Israel now adding to its war crimes the assassination of aid workers deliberately, I believe, to worsen food deprivation in Gaza. This suggestion, and I would hope that it's not a widely held one amongst politicians, former or current, that this was somehow deliberate. I mean, just how absurd is that they would deliberately target aid workers to try to starve the Palestinian population?
It's obviously unspeakable nonsense. And we've heard, again, similar noises over here and elsewhere around the world on this. Why would Israel do that? I mean, first of all, if you set aside the laws of war, which Israel scrupulously adheres to, and morality, if you set those aside, what would be the actual purpose of deliberately killing aid workers? It would make no sense at all. Meanwhile, Israel is doing everything it can, everything in its power to allow aid to get into Gaza. And in fact, in the last 6 months since this war began, Israel has permitted aid into Gaza, which is about twice as much as it requires. It's allowed about a year's supply of humanitarian aid into Gaza in 6 months, a year's supply. So, of course, it's nonsense. Israel wouldn't do that. Why would it? And the very idea that a tragic accident like this can be then used against Israel. Israel has admitted it was wrong. It's disciplined some of the people involved in it. It's unfortunately, it's the kind of tragedy that you get in war. I've known many cases like this. And in fact, President Biden, who was outraged by it, in his words, was the president when a similar attack took place against an aid worker and 9 members of his family in Afghanistan in 2021, when a US drone strike hit them thinking they were terrorists. This is horrible, but it happens.
Have you ever wondered how the world's currencies are traded? The foreign exchange market, also known as the Forex market, is the largest and most liquid financial market in the world.
All right, so I can give you 1 second. All right. Okay. Yeah. So
You said why would uh, Israel
attack the aid that's coming to the country. One, they're the devil. Israel, they're not the biblical Jews. Jews, according to the Bible, biblical Jews are uh, the so-called African American man over here in America. So you know they lied about that too. Uh, to help bring in biblical prophecy, man. The famine, not having any food and miseries and suffering and things like that. But ultimately, this is the book Satan Angel Exposed by Salem Herbert, page 163. It says World War III. The Mazzini type blueprint also called for a World War III, and that's what you see going on now. This would begin by firing up the controversy between Judaism, them Jews, or them Zionists, and the Muslim world. They said the Muslim world, all of them Islamic nations, all of them Ishmaelites, they're nationalized Ishmaelites according to the Bible, but people know them as Arabs. They are under the banner of Islam or the religion of Islam. All of them are watching these things and coming together because of what's being done unto the Palestinians. That's part of the Bible prophecy, and it's in this book. So, of course, Israel would do that. They got to fire up the controversy, man. You know, um, whether willingly or unwillingly, but it's to bring in the kingdom of heaven ultimately. You know, but this right here is the agenda of the elites. The agenda of the Lord is to bring in the kingdom of heaven. The agenda of the elites is to bring in the new world order via World War III. But it says this will begin by firing up the controversy between Judaism and the Muslim world, right? The Palestinians are under the religion of Islam, or known as Muslims. They hope that the Zionists and the Muslims, see, will destroy each other and bring the rest of the world into a final conflict. What's going on with them Palestinians is arousing um, them Iranians up. I mean, the Iranians, them uh, factions of Islam, them Arabs up to stand up against Israel and America, with Iran included. Iran, their biblical nationality goes back to the um, Elam. They are the East Indians um, from the Persian Empire. Um, they're going to join forces with the Arabs, biblical nationality, the Ishmaelites, to fight against Israel and America. That's why these things are happening. So it says again, they hope that the Zionists and Muslims will destroy each other and bring the rest of the world into a final conflict, and that's what it's going to do. This Armageddon would bring complete social, political, and economic chaos. Hold on, so I can build it. So, to get into that, where it says complete social, political, and economic chaos. This is social chaos, meaning on Google.com AI overview. It says, and I'm gonna just jump to the point. It says elaboration. Social chaos is a concept. In a general sense, social chaos describes a situation where society is disrupted, law and order are broken down, and there is a lack of stability. This can manifest in various ways, such as economic instability, widespread unrest, or a breakdown of social institutions. And that's what's going on. And this is going on all over the world, man. Let's see. Let's see about. All right, political chaos refers to a state of disorder and instability within a political system, often characterized by conflict, instability, and a lack of predictable or effective governance. It can manifest in various forms, including government dysfunction, power struggles, widespread unrest, and the collapse of institutions. So, this is what they're doing. It says government dysfunction. Political chaos can lead to government stagnation, paralysis, and an inability to address pressing issues, as seen in the concept of chaos syndrome, where politicians are unable to compromise, according to the PBS News article. It says power struggles, intense conflicts and power struggles between different political factions can disrupt normal operations and create a climate of uncertainty, unrest. Right, and that's going on within everybody's society right now. You have some people that's opposed to the New World Order, but don't even know that they're fighting against the New World Order. But that's that internal fighting between these Masonic groups and those that's supposed to be a part of the same order. A lot of people in the know and a lot of people not within these societies that set them levels, man. You know, it says power struggle, intense conflicts, and power struggles between different political factions can disrupt normal operations and create a climate of uncertainty, unrest, and conflict. Political chaos can trigger widespread protests, civil unrest, and even armed conflict, as seen in the example of cabinet crisis, where an incumbent government may be toppled, according to Wikipedia. Collapse of institutions. In several cases, political chaos can lead to the breakdown of essential political and legal institutions, leaving societies without effective governance and control. Yeah, man, that's what happened with Syria. That's what happened with what's his name? The other guy, the first guy they killed from Libya, Gaddafi. Just to name some examples: economic impact, political instability, a consequence of chaos can negatively impact economic growth by affecting investments and capital accumulation, according to the International Monetary Fund. Need for chaos. Some individuals might even actively seek out chaos, driven by a desire to destabilize, agent provocateur, the existing order and potentially rebuild society. That's what they did up in with Gaddafi as an example. But this is the elites orchestrating this, man. Economic chaos. This is Micah 2 verse 1. woe, meaning destruction, unto them that devise iniquity. The elites have devised these plans just with this all this different types of chaos, economic, political, social, to help bring in a new world order. The battle of Armageddon, all this was devised by the elites using their think tanks and their witchcraft. You know, they worship the spiritual demon Satan that's giving them orders, man. But ultimately, this is the agenda of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. It says, when the morning is light, they practice it because it's in the power of their hand, right? The Lord gave them the power. Esau has the power, was given the sword to rule this world, you know, and he's been ruling. All right, now this is economic chaos. All right, economic chaos. Economic chaos refers to a state of utter disorder and confusion within an economy, characterized by unstable markets, unpredictable events, and a lack of control or predictability. It's often associated with situations like hyperinflation, recessions, or depressions, where the system is not functioning efficiently and is experiencing significant disruptions that's going on all over the world at some level with everybody's country or corporation, with everybody's corporation. Here's a more detailed breakdown because the U.S. is known as a corporation, not a country. Here is a more detailed breakdown definition. It says economic chaos is a state where there is a complete lack of order and control in an economy, resulting in instability and difficulty in forecasting future outcomes. Characteristics: this state can involve various elements, including instability, fluctuations in markets, unpredictable events, and a general lack of stability. Confusion, difficulty understanding the underlying forces driving economic activity. Lack of predictability, the inability to accurately forecast future economic trends. Examples: economic chaos can manifest in various ways, such as hyperinflation, rapidly rising prices that erode the value of money, and this has been going on all over the world, some form, some fashion. Recessions, periods of economic contractions and high unemployment, the U.S. Financial crisis, sudden collapse in financial markets, such as the stock market crash of 1929 or the global financial crisis of 2008, and that's what the U.S. is heading to. This World War III is affecting the whole world. Impacts: economic chaos can have significant consequences for individuals, businesses, and the overall economy, leading to financial hardship, loss of jobs, savings, and investments. Reduced economic activity: companies may halt operations or scale back their investments due to instability. Social unrest: extreme economic conditions can lead to social unrest and instability. Right, so it looks like everything is going according to plan, and this is applying to a lot of these countries in some way. Some countries doesn't necessarily. Some countries aren't as affected by it as others. All right, this back in the book, Satan Angel Exposed, page 163. It says, while the Illuminati secret few may fan the fires, it must be seriously questioned how much world influence this group has had in the last century. It is quite possible that these Illuminati schemes for 3 world wars are more recent inventions, post-dated to give authenticity to those who seek to blame the sin of the suffering of today's world on some secret few. Right. This Revelation chapter 9, verse 12. One woe is past, one world war has passed, and behold, there come two woes, or two more world wars, more hereafter. Right. So everything has been going according to plans. World War One happened, World War Two happened, we're in World War Three right now. Revelation 11 and 14, the second woe is past, or the second world war is past, and behold, the third woe, or the third world war cometh quickly. Right, and that's that's the time we're in, the time of the third world war, which is ultimately the end of Esau's society, not the end of the world, man. This is Isaiah. Because see, instead of being out in these clubs, scheming on people, robbing people, killing people, trying to commit adultery, they put all their energy into that dumbass shit. That's spiritually why they're weak. They won't be able to survive in these coming days, man. They're gonna be involved in these coming days in the worst way. This is Isaiah chapter 33, verse 6. It says, "In wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times." Right, the wisdom and knowledge of the Bible is what's going to keep you stable. It's going to be your faith in these times. And strength of salvation, the fear of the Lord Yahweh is his treasure. Right, so, like I was saying earlier, I gotta watch this one. But, like I said earlier, this is what took place. Right, so this took place a year ago, and I'm gonna speed it up to what's going on now, today, and this is helping push the agenda. Them doing that. See, severe punishment, top Iranian leader killed. Yeah, the Lord is getting everything on its way. Now, this is what they saying today. This is that's agenda to
Were you
demonize
or a loved one
Iran.
admitted to an Illinois behavioral health facility? A global settlement may be coming in 2025.
Let's bring in former FBI.
To have people afraid, fear mongering, so that they can finish the job.
A special agent and Navy SEAL,
which is to bring in a new world.
Jonathan Gilliam. Jonathan, good morning to you. I want to talk to you about what has led to this moment in time. When you think about since October 7th, what Israel was capable of doing with the pager attack against Hezbollah, where Hamas stands right now, and where the Houthis that have, with the help of the United States, been very much decimated in their capabilities to strike back. All of that leading to this moment that we sit in right now.
Right. And, you know, it's interesting when we look at this, Israel has actually evolved back to the out of the box thinking and the tactics of eliminating your enemy like it was in before World War II and during World War II. After that, the world moved to a different way of fighting. And we've seen a tremendous amount of advances in techniques and evolution of warfare in Ukraine and Russia. And the way that the Iranian intel services in China use social media, for instance, to actually form social issues within other nations. And now we see this, where Israel has gone back and systematically taken out the proxies. Now, this is very important because Iran does not fight their own wars outside of their borders. They use proxies. And I don't know if most people realize that. They have targeted Israel over and over using Hamas, Hezbollah. They went after Israel's strategic targets using the Houthis. And so somewhere along the way, Israel figured this out. And I think this is part of at least a three-prong operation. First was the intel gathering about Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran themselves, along with the Houthis. And then they started carrying out attacks to really just cripple Hamas and Hezbollah. We, like, as you just said, helped with the Houthis. But along that way, there was an initial attack inside of Iran. It tested their air defenses. We saw that they were horrible. And it showed that Iran did not have the ability to go the distance all the way over themselves into Israel and actually effectively attack Israel. So with all of that in place and understanding all that and all those different missions working, they were able to then go and start putting these operatives inside Iran and setting up for the big attack. And I think the rest of the world needs to realize that this is the way warfighting has evolved, and Israel is successful because they did it that way. They didn't just do it politically.
So, Jonathan, what do you
Right now, look at this term. AI overview from Google.com. Military operatives. This is a military operative, particularly within the context of special operations, is a highly trained individual assigned to carry out covert, secret, or specialized military missions, often involving unconventional warfare or intelligence gathering. These operatives, sometimes referred to as operatives, are part of elite units within the military that specialize in specific tasks such as reconnaissance, counterterrorism, or foreign internal defense. Here's a more detailed breakdown. Special Operation Forces. Military operatives are often associated with Special Operation Forces, which are units specifically trained and equipped for missions beyond the scope of traditional military engagement. It says U.S. Special Forces. In the U.S. military, the term Special Forces typically refers to units like the Green Beret, who are highly trained and specialized in areas like unconventional warfare and foreign internal defense. Tier 1 units. Some of the most elite special operations units within the U.S. military are referred to as Tier 1 units. They include units like Delta Force. Covert operations. Military operatives may also be involved in covert, secret operations, which are missions carried out under the cover of an assumed identity or with the intention of concealing the true nature of the operation. Intelligence gathering. Some military operatives are focused on intelligence gathering, collecting information about potential threats or enemy capabilities. Training and selection. Military operatives undergo rigorous training and selection processes to ensure they possess the skills and capabilities needed for specialized missions. Leadership and teamwork. They are typically responsible for planning, directing, and executing operations, often leading small teams or of other specialists like it. Right? So that's what we mean by operatives.
think Iran is doing right now? Are they calling up their proxies that have been severely degraded over the past year and a half and saying, help us strike back?
Well, so here's where the real issue, I think, of the future for all of us comes into play, is that we constantly call, and I've heard several guests call Iran the terrorists of the region. But the reality is terrorism is a tactic that they use. Their ideology is fundamental Islam, and this has been a case for
Terrorists is a tactic the U.S. used. The U.S. trains the terrorists. You know, I think Israel might be involved with that also, with the training and militarizing of terrorists, mercenary groups, you know, to help bring in a new world order, start conflict, destabilize countries. for their own personal gain.
Thousands of years, and Iran has never evolved or progressed to where they work things out diplomatically. You could never trust them. And so with this fundamentalism, this is the fear that I have, is that even inside the United States, the exact attack that Israel just carried out inside the borders of Iran, with the way that our border was down for 4 years, there could be cells here that could be activated by Iran or proxies and groups that are loyal.
Hence the reason why they even did that with the so-called Latin tribes, so they can push this agenda. But they're going that word sleeper cells again. The U.S., you know how the U.S. do with its MK Ultra program, um, um, to do some type of terrorist attack. There's various things that they can do to help lock America down and bring America into um, internal fighting and all types of chaos and things that happen. On top of them collapsing the monetary system.
Oil to Iran. Same thing in Israel. That's basically what happened on October 7th when the Hamas went in and attacked Israel. They weren't prepared for that. And so we need to be prepared. Israel needs to be prepared for those types of attacks. And the number one way to do that is for the citizenry to be aware. And that's what's going to prevent the majority of this. But Israel is definitely on top of their game. And right now, Iran should be in panic mode because they don't even have the ability right now at this point to run operations with their proxies because they're fighting for their life.
Yeah, the fear of sleeper cells in the United States is very concerning. It's something that the president is very aware of and trying to mitigate as we speak. Jonathan, thank you for joining us this morning.
Those types of attacks. And the number one way to do that is for the citizenry to be aware. And that's what's going to prevent the majority of this. But Israel is definitely on top of their game. And right now, Iran should be in panic mode because they don't even have the ability right now at this point to run operations with their proxies because they're fighting for their life.
Yeah, the fear of sleeper cells.
Pride of the Edomite, man. What these guys don't understand is that, well, they understand it, but they're not. One, they either trying to keep the people from knowing, with the talking points. Two, they don't believe that, they got the pride that America is still number one. They don't believe that all the other nations are going to come because they don't know Bible prophecy. The scriptures say the wicked shall not understand. But the Iranians are still a part of the BRICS organization, with South Africa, Russia going back Iran, China going back Iran. They've been showing it to you in the media for the longest of times. North Korea going back Iran. That's why you gotta be circumspect. You gotta pay attention when you listening to these dudes and then filter it through the scriptures. Then America's own allies is turning against her. So all this proud talk is done, man. Israel and America is done. Is the judgment for Israel is to be hit by thermonuclear missiles, just as the judgment of America is, man. By who? The Iranians and them and the rest of the Muslim world. You know. This is Psalm chapter 64, verse 1. Hear my voice, O Yahweh Shemel Shai, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Esau is our enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. The wicked is Esau. His secret counsel is to bring in a new world order via these types of events, man. The insurrection of the workers of iniquity, the uprising of the workers of iniquity, the elites, man. Because once they start to get close to bringing that new world order, the troops gonna be put on the ground. They're gonna be killing people, uh, beheading people, and the prophets we are gonna be involved in that. It ain't no coincidence that they got this, this military parade situation that's going on. They can use all those military vehicles that they've been showing over the last X amount of years and lock this place down. Um, President Trump, I just seen the article, but I didn't get to go into it as of yet. It looked like what they got it looking like. The pictures him signing some type of bill or something, basically keep the troops within Los Angeles. Um, but you know, a lot of the protests are not only in Los Angeles, they're in Chicago and various other places. So I'm gonna have to read that soon on what's going on with that. But that's keeping up with the Bible prophecy. But yeah, you know, everything is already in motion, man. Everything is already in motion. Laws have already been passed. You know, it's just everything is it's tarrying, but it's still on time. But how about Shemal Shah? Now we're getting close. We almost out of here. You know, it's Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them." Talking about the people. America's a heaven. Um, the white man's heaven, though. But you people rejoice, live it up, party, kick it, hang out, sell your soul, whatever you do to have fun. Woe, meaning destruction to the inhabitants of the earth, but destruction unto you people, and of the sea, yeah, people living under the sea. For the devil, the white man, is the devil, is come down unto you, having great wrath, right? Via his legislations that he passed, he declared everybody terrorists. America's a battlefield. I gotta look into what that new bill he signed and see what's going on. But ain't no coincidence that they had all the military vehicles um, that people was catching on the trains and on the roadways. You got this parade going on. Something can happen right now. Um, he just sent 40 around 4,700 military personnel to Los Angeles. You know, and they got the same protests in Chicago. All this was orchestrated and designed purposefully. You know, but you got what? Uh, who they got out there? ICE agents, couple thousand National Guard. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like 4,000 National Guard and 700 Marines. You know, a lot of them not even activated. They just on standby. You know, this is part of Esau's agenda. You know, they can do some type of terrorist attack, MK Ultra situation, and lock that place down. They already passing curfews. All this, you know, but you got to know the Bible. Your pastors are not teaching you this. So that means ultimately that if you don't have this understanding, you're not of the elect. But this is what's going on. This is, you know, this Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Esau know that the Lord is on his way back to deliver his people, the Israelites, the so-called black/Native Americans, and to usher in the kingdom of heaven. But he's trying to fight that. He's trying to bring his new world order before the Lord can come back. That's why you get these type of events happening, man. With all these uprisings of the people in these various cities, the whole persecution of the Latins orchestrated. Israel and Iran going head to head again, orchestrated. You know, so they know they only got a short time, so they're trying to speed things up. But that's a blessing for the Israel as a whole. But starting with the elect, because the elect know that the kingdom of heaven is next.
Ephesians chapter 5, 14.
It says, wherefore he saith, awake, thou that sleepest. That's the nation of Israel. Those who don't have the truth. Y'all gotta awake to the truth and arise from the dead because y'all in a dead state. And Yahushua shall give you light. The light is the truth. Yahushua is the volume of the book, the Bible. He sent his men, his prophets, his apostles, his teachers, his deacons, his evangelists to teach you the word, to wake you up. See then that you walk circumspectly. Circumspect means to circle all around. Meaning you gotta be paying attention to everything that's going on. Not as fools. These niggas out here being foolish. Killing each other for nothing. Drugs, colors, women, selling their souls. Those niggas are foolish. In the clubs every night, those are fools. But as wise, right? You gotta walk as the wise. The wise is those who know the will of the Lord, not the wisdom that they got in this world on how to cop up, the drug terms that they use, cop some drugs and sell some drugs, plot on people. That's not true wisdom according to the Bible. Knowing who you are in the Lord's name and the times that you are living is the real wisdom, man. These niggas talk about basketball. They know all the basketball players, the football players, soccer players, what rappers did, what year, what albums. All this shit is foolishness, man. And it's gonna get you destroyed. It says, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil, right? We're living in the evil days, man. That's why all this death going on. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. Right, the will of the Lord is to deliver his chosen. But the chosen got to go through hell, famines, death, persecutions, tortures, beheadings, just as well as 2/3 of the nation. But the elect is going to be delivered from that type of stuff, or just used to be a sacrifice like how Star Wars. You have to understand those things, not how low you can sag your pants to get a bitch attention. You know, be not drunk with wine, philosophies, wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit. The Spirit is the Bible. Speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart or in your mind to the Lord, giving thanks always for all things unto the Most High and the Father in the name of our Lord Yahushua. Right? It says submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of Yahweh Shah. Right? And it's for the households. The whole household got to be like this. It starts with the man and the woman. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife. See, Esau reversed it. That's why you bitches can talk shit, hit the man out the house, call the police. Yeah, that's why y'all got the better jobs. And y'all bitches, you women, y'all fall into those categories of being the enemy of your man, and y'all knowingly know that this devil got it out for your black, Latin, and Native American man, and y'all play right into it. That's why a lot of you women are gonna die. When all hell break loose, the purge happened, the book of Eli happened, the movie The Roll happened. These are movies. Look them up if you don't know what's going on with them. The famines, lack of food, the pestilence, diseases, and all the death is coming for you women. Y'all protection is finna fade. The white man is not finna come to protect y'all no more. When all this hell and stuff start to break loose, they're leaving their posts. They're leaving the military. They're leaving the police forces. And you will not be able to pick up the phone to call to no brother, to no police, no gangbang cousin, because everybody's gonna be fighting and looking out for themselves, and that's what y'all get. That's the payment for y'all evilness towards the men of y'all nation. Going all the way back to Adam and Eve in the garden. Verse 23, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Yahushua is the head of the church, and is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Yahushua, so let the wives be subject, let the wives be to their own husbands in everything, right? In everything of righteousness, and as for you sisters that are listening to the truth, you got to submit yourself to your husband, to the righteous holy man, not to any man, to the righteous holy man, because the only way you're going to get up out of here is if your man is of the elect, you know. And you got cases of women that might be up in age, who might be of the elect, that don't have a husband. Um, the age is what, 60 years old? But yeah, for the most part, you women have to submit yourselves to the husband, your husband in righteousness. You can't just have any man to go with you into the kingdom of heaven. There ain't no nigga in Islam, gang banging, vice lord, and GD going to the kingdom of heaven, man. Ain't no bisexual man going to the kingdom of heaven, no transgender. A homosexual not going to heaven. You lesbian bitches are not going to heaven, man. Y'all gotta straighten yourself out. It says, husbands, verse 25, love your wives, even as Yahushua also loved the church and gave himself for it. Right? So, the man gotta treat your women with respect. Y'all love your women, according to the Bible. Then he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. And how do you find out how to treat your husband and your wife and your children? The Bible. It's in the scriptures. How the women's supposed to act, how the men's supposed to act, you know? This, these verses. Because this guy don't think Israel, Iran got back up for some odd ass reason. Proud devil, and then a lot of this be them trying to keep everybody asleep. But this is Second Ezra chapter 15. Verse 24 is woe, meaning destruction, to them that sin and keep not my commandments, because the law is not done away with, saith the Lord. I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power. Defile the sanctuary, right? The Lord is cutting off 2/3 of his people. They're not going to be allowed into the sanctuary. They're not a part of the elect, man. For the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. What I was just saying. A lot of you women gonna die. A lot more women gonna die than men, because the man can have multiple women. And if you women can't get that in your mind, that's gonna be destruction unto y'all. But a lot of women gonna humble themselves down. It says, for now are the plagues come upon the whole earth. Economic chaos, political chaos, social chaos, all that was planned. Famines, death, destruction, proxy wars, world wars. Those are the plagues of the Bible. COVID-19 was a plague from the scriptures. But you shall remain in them. For the Most High shall not deliver you, because you have sinned against him. Right. For you pastors that said the law is done away with, y'all congregation gonna rise up against you and slay y'all. Behold, in horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. That's the Arab nations coming together to fight in this battle of Armageddon against the U.S. and Israel. That's going to be Iran's backup. Verse 30. Also the Carmanians. The Carmanians is the Iranians. Raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. The Assyrians, the land of the Assyrians is America. America is known as the land of Assyria. She took after the customs of Assyria. And then shall the dragons, the Arabs again, have the upper hand, remembering their nature, wild men. And if they shall turn themselves conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then these shall be troubled and keep silence to their power and shall flee. And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them, and their hosts shall be fear and dread and strife among their kings. Right? Them Arab nations got nuclear missiles. Pakistan has nuclear missiles. They gonna shoot missiles on the U.S. right along with the nation of Israel. You know, and that's why the Lord require us to teach the truth, because Esau not gonna give you the truth. You know, and you knowing this bit of information is what's gonna get you up out of here if you have the elect. So, you know, with that being said, call law Yahweh by Shema Shai, by Shema Crocodile, step honors to the elders and apostles of who well, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. Shalom.